Welcome to the Way We See It podcast.
where we talk about politics, social justice, and culture.
I'm Tati,
And I'm Ariana.
and we are your host of this podcast. Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 39, week 20. Week 20. Oh my god. Week 20, only one more episode until season 2 ends. We finished at episode 40 for season 2, and that's a wrap. So we just want to thank our supporters for listening and sharing your support also, like on your social media platforms. We've had a few people tagging us in a few things, reposting us recently, and I really love seeing that. It really made my day. To see some of my friends also that were doing that. So I was like, thank you. Like, it's really appreciated. Besides my cousins. So
Mhm.
that warmed my heart. So yeah, don't forget to check out our socials if you haven't already. We're on Twitter and Instagram at The Way We See It with a C. Also check out our website. The link can be found in our Instagram and Twitter bio, where it has our blogs, current events, resources, and citations, and more. I think I'm gonna do my blog once I'm done with the podcast with season 2, or maybe once I'm done with school. We'll see. Maybe after my Puerto Rico trip, you know. So stay updated for those, and make sure you check out our YouTube channel if you're not watching us on there right now. Hello. We're also on YouTube at The Way We See It with the C, where we will also be now posting our visuals like this. Where if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, you obviously cannot see us, or Spotify. So don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And as always, you can find our YouTube link in our Instagram and Twitter bio as well. Pow.
Yeah. So this episode, we're basically doing a part two from our previous episode. So episode 38, we discussed like the history of the Israel and Palestine conflict.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be finishing up the last four main events we wanted to talk about for the history. And then we're going to continue like what is going on today and like what like transpired um, in the month of May.
Yes. So, first going off back into history based off some of the events that were leading into what was going on today that we started last week, but we only got into like 3 of them, and then we just got into like how the US was involved in general. So, just continuing, first there was the 6-day war. The war began June 5th, 1967, and lasted 6 days. It was fought between Arab countries, Egypt, Syria, Iraq, Jordan, and Israel. Israel started the war when they launched Air Force bases in Sinai Peninsula of Egypt. In the end of the war, Israel won. In the end of the war, Israel won, occupying the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, East Jerusalem, the Sinai Peninsula, which is Egypt, and the Golan Heights, which is also in Syria. So, in addition, over 300,000 Palestinians were forced out of their homes. That's crazy.
Yes, and then there was the first Intifada, and the word actually means tremor, shivering, and shuddering. In this case, the term refers to two Palestinians' uprisings against Israeli occupation. So this first Intifada began in December 8, 1987, when an Israeli army truck killed four Palestinians. In response, Palestinians protested until the early 90s, so for a few years. And in response to these protests, Israel responded with violence by physically hurting Palestinians, protesters, like as they were protesting
Mm-hmm.
outside.
Okay, so then after that, there was the Oslo Accords, excuse me, where two peace agreements signed between the Palestinian Liberation Organization, also known as PLO, and the State of Israel. Both agree that Israel has the right to exist, quote unquote, and Israel recognized the PLO as the representative of the Palestinian people. Unfortunately, this agreement just led to the Israel state government to occupy more of Palestinian land.
Yeah,
Damn.
so it looks like in this case they kind of like almost agree, like the two-state solution, which is like one of like the solutions that is discussed of how this whole thing can be solved. But clearly,
It was more of like of a psych thing. Like, oh, psych, I lied.
clearly the agreement didn't
Mean shit.
turn out the way it should have.
Yeah.
And then the second Intifada happened, and that began in September 28, 2000. and it lasted 4 years. During the second Intifada, many Palestinian leaders were arrested and some were killed. Many Palestinians took part in armed resistance. This included firing at Israeli soldiers, throwing rocks at Israeli tanks and vehicles, and in some cases, suicide bombings. In response, Israeli state government built a wall between the West Bank and the state of Israel, and that wall still exists today. It's still up
Mm.
to separate Palestinians from Israel.
And then from this to what's going on today, the main problem still is that Israel continues to ethnically cleanse, which we had mentioned in the last episode, and displace Palestinians from their own homes. And today, Palestinians are divided between the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, and the East Jerusalem. And in Gaza, if you take a look on the map of Israel, you will see it is located near the border of Egypt and Israel. Gaza is known to be the world's biggest open air prison due to no one being allowed to enter or leave the Gaza Strip. In addition, the Gaza Strip has one of the highest population densities in the entire world, with a population of almost 2 million people away. Currently, there is a siege and blockade on the Gaza Strip, and everything is controlled by the Israeli government. Israel also currently bombs the Gaza Strip in response to the Hamas terrorists bombing Israel, which I had seen. That's one of the posts I had seen when all this first started, which was the Gaza Strip. That's what it's called. Uh,
Yes,
the Gaza Strip before their religious holiday, the Ramadan.
Ramadan.
Yeah, Ramadan, like, and how it looked all bright in the lights, and then how it looked now. Same picture, just a week later, or at the end of the Ramadan. I don't remember how long it was. And it was just like completely destroyed, and it's just like, what the heck? That's when I was like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah. So yeah, going back to the Gaza, I just find it like I don't know how it works. Like technically, Gaza is Palestinian like territory, but
Uh-huh.
still, Israeli government controls it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's sad that like people that live there can't even like escape because
Hmm.
it's a. But yeah,
They're
and
not allowed in or out. Like, sorry to cut you off,
yeah, you
but
go.
that's more so like that's where you see the control coming in, and it's like, okay, you can leave to escape now, and like it's just more so like once you enter, like that's it.
Mhm. And nobody can give come in to give them resources.
Like you could
So
be there and have no food. You forgot. Obviously, this is not true, guys. But like, forgot your charger. Can't even, your cousin can't even bring you a charger anymore because they can't give you anything.
mhm.
But yeah, basically, it's just like that's where you really see the oppression happening, because it's like, okay, not only did you take over all our land, kill our people, kick us out, and whatever, but now you want to torture us and still oppress us in a way, by keeping us trapped here with like no way out. So it's pure torture. Like we're just stuck here, and it's like our own personal hell in a place that should just be our home. Which is
Yes,
weird.
and going on to the West Bank, which is another part of the country
Mm-hmm.
or the Israel state that Palestinians live. So the West Bank is separated by Israel by the wall that we spoke about a few minutes ago, and the wall is about 700 kilometers long. And they began to build the wall back in 2002, claiming it was necessary for security, but I feel like it was just they just wanted to separate themselves and didn't want
Yeah,
Palestinians going to their side.
100%.
In addition, the wall separates many Palestinian towns and cities from each other. So if remember from the last episode, like I said, like they have like if you look at the map, it's like confusing, very confusing. There's literally like little bubbles of like Palestinian territory and like Israel. So like the wall like blocks like Palestinian territory. So like sometimes they can't even get into like their own thing because the wall is blocking it. Because there's like the map is just like very conflicting that the wall is like straight. So for the Palestinians living in the West Bank, there are over 100 checkpoints that can be found at school, work, markets, etc. And at these checkpoints, Palestinians often experience abuse and sexual assault. On top of that, the Israeli state frequently ruins homes of Palestinian families that live in the West Bank. On the other hand, the Israeli settlers living in the West Bank are treated a whole lot differently. They're given Israeli only roads, and they are protected by the Israeli military, so they don't have to go through like those checkpoints as they're living in the West Bank.
I guess you can say like, yeah, that's still the oppression. That's still is racism. Can I use racism for this?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No, I feel like, yeah, definitely not racism, but just like they're picking and choosing more so who they're gonna protect, who gets these certain benefits, and that still also goes into the discrimination. That's what I'm talking about. Wow, my vocabulary today, guys, is just not there. So yeah, discrimination in this sense because, like we just said, the people on the west side, um, like they're able to get whatever they need. But me, wait, is it the west side? Yeah, the West Bank with the wall. That's where the Palestinians have to do all these things, experience the sexual assault, the abuse, and like the checkpoints, which I just said. Um, and then the Israeli people that are on there also like they just I'm like just imagining it right now while I'm like reading it and stuff. Like I just can just imagine just the wall and just like I just imagine like still they're both on the same side of the wall, whatever. But like they're still like so divided in a way. Like you see the Palestinians on one side having to go through all these things and the people on the right side here just living their lives perfectly fine. No complaints. But what's called they'll see what's going on with them and they still won't do anything because um, in their mind, they just need to get out, which sucks. So then, yeah, continuing to East Jerusalem, even though East Jerusalem is technically Palestinian territory, which is also part of the West Bank. Israel has claimed East Jerusalem as part of their territory since 1948, and for many decades, even today, thousands of Palestinian families have lost their right to live in Jerusalem by the Israeli government forcefully evicting them out of their own homes. I get so heated like talking about this because I'm like really thinking like if this happened to me, that's horrible. And then it's just the fact that like our government and other governments and other companies are still funding Israel. And it's like, do you even know the history behind like what's going on here? And like it's because like the more this is how I see it also guys like the way I see it with a C. But like the more they're wiping out the Palestinians, that's how they're able to rewrite their history and change it up because there's going to be Israel children growing up in Israel thinking that the Palestinians are the enemy and that they were the ones trying to take over their homes when it was generally the opposite. But because at this point Israel owns so much of what Palestine used to be, it's like who even remembers what Palestine used to be now? It's just more so how Israel created this home, this safe base after the mass genocide that was happening after World War II. World War II, World War one of those two. So it's just like still crazy. Started in the 1940s. That's right before I think World War II started. That was after the Great Depression. So yeah, World War One. But yeah, guys, it's
So
crazy.
that concludes like the actually no wait. So that's just like a little like summary of what happens in the East Jerusalem, the West Bank, and the Gaza Strip, where that's technically Palestinian territory and what Palestinians have to experience that live in those areas. Now we're gonna get into like what happened like in April/May of 2021. So towards the end of April and the beginning of May, four Palestinian families were facing eviction from their Jerusalem homes in the Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood. These Palestinian families have lived in these homes since 1956.
Mm.
So just like imagine you've been living in this home probably for like generations since 1956, and then all of a sudden you're told to be kicked out of your own home. Um, like they're probably thinking, where am I supposed to go? I could imagine how that feels. And then so why did they forcefully evict them, Israel? Because the Israeli courts have ruled that Israeli settlers can move into Palestinian homes they occupied in East Jerusalem. So basically, they were moving these families out so Israeli people can move into their homes. In addition, this was certainly not the first time Israeli government displaced Palestinian families out of their homes. We said that multiple times as we were discussing the history, but that just shows that it just happened this year, not too long ago.
And that's where I'm saying like this has been going on for like almost more than 100 years now, because I checked back throughout the World War I and the World War II dates again. World War II ended in 1945, so this was following World War II, since it all started 1946 to 49 is when Israel started the killing with the Palestinians and still evicting them like this. So it's just crazy. Almost 100 years.
Yeah.
And on May 7th and May 10th, Israeli forces stormed fire on Palestinian worshippers at Aqsa, Mosque with tear gas, stun grenades, and rubber-coated steel bullets. And over 200 Palestinians were injured. The second time Israeli forces attacked Aqsa Mosque, more than 300. Huh?
Mosque.
Mosque. Okay, so Aqsa Mosque.
Yeah.
Okay. More than 300 Palestinians were injured. Sorry, guys. We have been having
Yeah. Excuse us for
hard
pronouncing
words.
words wrong. We try our best.
Or full-grown adults still can't say words properly.
So yeah, basically the Israeli state government attacked a mosque during like Ramadan time,
Mm-hmm.
which is a very like it's like the holiest like time of the
Time
year
for them.
for Muslims. So it was very unfortunate that they had to, as they were praying in their place of worship, they had to be attacked by Israeli state government.
Yeah.
And then the Hamas group. So the Hamas group is the political party that controls the Gaza Strip. And there's word going around that supposedly the Hamas group is a terrorist group, but not everybody agrees with that.
Mm-hmm.
So the Hamas group informed the Israeli government to stop attacking the Al-Aqsa Mosque, or else they would attack. And then the Hamas group launched thousands of rockets against Israel from Gaza for the first time in years on May 10, 2021. And in response, Israel launched airstrikes on Gaza. So basically, Hamas was like, I guess they was backing up the Palestinians, the fact they were being attacked, and it was like, yo, y'all
Yeah.
gotta stop.
Like
And
you're
then
doing too much still.
and that's when like the airstrikes were going back and forth, basically.
And that was like the non-stop too until they reached their stuff. But then the Hamas group and Israel continued to launch at each other while protests were happening across the West Bank and Jordan. And after 11 days of launching fire at each other on May 20th, Israel and Hamas reached a ceasefire, which means a temporary stoppage of a war in which each side agrees with the other to suspend aggressive actions, which is what we had talked about in the last episode and before that for one of our current events. Because it was around that time, May 20th, when they had did that agreement. So then, a result of the attacks, according to the Gaza Health Ministry, 232 Palestinians have been killed, including 65 children. Ugh, my heart. 39 women and 17 elderly people, while 1,900 people are injured. Yes, according to the Washington Post, Israel's death tolls rose to 12 people and including 2 children since then. So, it's
See
kind of
the
sad.
difference in numbers. You can tell which one has more resources, which one doesn't have more resources.
Yeah. And even no, continue what you were saying, sorry.
Like yeah, the numbers are there. So yeah.
I'm finding this post. And then just another thing that I had seen was that just adding on to this, like not necessarily what's exactly happening on the land right now, but I had posted on my main Instagram story just how Charles Pillsbury, whose family like owns the Pillsbury name and everything, he's not a part of the company itself or the brand anymore. Like he has no part of it, but he found out they're one of the companies that are supporting Israel right now, and he acknowledges that what Israel's doing is a war crime and is inflicting harm on the Palestinian people. And he explains that in a full video that I posted. You could also find the video at AJ Plus, who has an account on Instagram. And the whole clip is just him saying to like boycott the company because like they're just gonna pretend like this is something that's gonna go away. Because it's Pillsbury and what's
So
it
they give
called?
money to Israel along as supporting them, as a ways to supporting them?
Yeah,
Or okay.
like
Damn.
just like how all our states give some money to the government to support these things, the companies do as well. Um, and it's just like he was exposing them, saying that they were just that they're still gonna do it regardless and everything. That's why he doesn't really care to like expose them, because he has no he's not a part of the brand name. And it's not even that, it's just ethics. Like you should care about what's happening to other people and what's right and what's wrong, and this right here is just wrong and it's like inhumane, and it's all about justice, and the Palestinian people need justice right now. And I was just like, preach. Like
Mhm.
he's literally risking his whole family name right now for this, like, and it doesn't even affect him directly. So that's pretty cool. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
guys, that basically concludes this topic. Just I want to just say sorry again for all the locations or whatever that I couldn't pronounce correctly. I guess the same for Ariana, because like
Yes.
I'm like I'm like Mesquite and then it's Musk. And I'm just like, oh, my bad. So yeah, sorry for the little things we just couldn't pronounce correctly. We tried our best, but we definitely did learn a lot about this because it was not what I expected whatsoever. Especially seeing just like how Israel really came to like be, which I really don't think is a flex after they all were just killed, majority of the Jews from Israel. The genocide in World War II. I feel like I understand that they wanted like their own space and their own home, to be themselves and not have to worry about any other governments trying to inflict harm on them again, just like what happened with Hitler. But you would think after just going all that through all that stuff with Hitler, you wouldn't do that same thing to other people. And it's just sad. So, um,
Yeah, I'm
just
glad that we did this topic. I certainly did not know anything about this.
mm-hmm.
Was not taught this in high
Cool.
school at all, like not even like touched. Yeah, so I'm glad that we took the opportunity to read, to do our research, and say our opinion and all that. And I'm glad that we have this platform to learn and just like say what we have to say. And I think that's pretty dope.
Yeah, facts. That's the way we see it. Wait, see this way. But yeah, guys, so getting into this week's current events. Wow, this episode's pretty chill, pretty quick. We've only been doing this for like 30 minutes. But so this week's current events, first one is the Tulsa Race Massacre. On May 30th, 2021, marked the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa Race Massacre. I think I actually saw this, I'm not sure. The Tulsa Race Massacre occurred over 18 hours from May 31st to June 1st in 1921 in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in a predominantly black neighborhood called Greenwood. During this time, Greenwood was also known as Black Wall Street due to its thriving business district and surrounding residential area. On May 30th, June 1st, a bomb of white residents attacked black resident homes and businesses, and about 300 people died in the massacre or as a result of the destruction, making this event one of the world's making it one of the worst incidents of racial violence in US history. That's so sad.
Yeah. Another thing I did not know, and
I was just about to say that. I was like, wow, like I feel like this is what I saw and like someone posted it or something the other day. I'm not exactly sure. But this, like, I've never heard of this before. Never learned about it in school. It's just like that's how you know, and that's so much to talk about on this podcast. I
yeah,
promise you. Like that's why I'm like, my dad's like, how do you find these ideas to talk about? I'm like, bro, because there's so much that like people try to hide from us, especially the government and schools, and like that's why I say everything's corrupted. Like you just have to pay attention, stick your nose into it, and that's what they don't want you to do. But hello, that's why we're here, and that's what people literally do because this is how we find these things.
hmm
Um, because didn't learn this in school. Um, haven't learned this in college.
Yes.
Um,
I actually knew this. I learned this in college because
oh really?
the black, well, I'm not in a class, but the Black Student Union, which is a student club that at the college I went to, they
Uh huh.
used to do this event. It was called Black Wall Street, and it was basically an event where they had like small black businesses come to our school, and like you could like shop around. But basically, you know, the Greenwood like district is what inspired, you know, them to do that event, and that was like,
Mm,
oh. So I think that was a cool way to remember that district.
damn. It was crazy. That I don't know why this is reminding me of the school I went to my sophomore year. It was literally on Wall Street. And it was a business school that I went to, guys. And it was an all girl business school.
In
But
Wall Street?
yeah. But my school was like it was only like 200 girls. It wasn't a private school or anything. It was a public all girls school on Wall Street, had uniform, whatever. But we were all majority just Hispanic and black. Like, and there was like little to any Hispanic girls that were whiter than me. So like there was maybe one white girl, one Asian girl, and then the rest were black and Hispanic. And that's it. And that's what that literally reminded me of just now and stuff, because it's just like I just remembered being in that school and my our principal would be like, "Oh, dress dress professionally, speak professionally, because let's not forget we're on Wall Street, where you see people in business suits and just business people in general, important people over here, and you know you want to make a good impression." Yeah, and it's just like she was right, but then also like we were 16 years old, 16 plus, like
I
we were
wonder
really
why would
focused
they
on
put
that.
a school on Wall Street?
Girl, there was a lot of schools on Wall Street. We had we were our all girls school right there. There was an all boys school a few blocks down, further down towards the ferry um
Yeah.
for the why am I saying the Empire State Building, Statue of
Maybe.
Liberty?
Okay, no, no.
Yeah, because no, my school was literally right there. Like you just go across the street, keep walking straight down. You'll see the water to get to the ferry to take the Statue of Liberty. And then right across the street from my school was the bowl, the Golden Bowl. And then
Wow.
across the street from that other Golden Bowl was another high school. And then further up there was colleges.
I guess because it's like a business high school, they were teaching business, so they wanted to be in that area.
Yeah, because then they did school trips to the stock market, um whatever other trips. We also went to um there's a museum a few blocks down from our school on Wall Street. Um Now that I think about it, it's a museum based off the history of Israel. Now that I remember, and it discusses.
Wall Street?
Yeah, it's a whole museum based off the history of Israel, and what's it called? Like what they went through during the World War II and how Israel came to be. Wow, now that I'm thinking about that, might have to go there again and see it and find
See,
out, see what they're saying
yeah.
in there. Yeah, like genuinely pay attention, because we had a tour guide. So I was just looking at the art, the stuff that they had, the people that had died. I was like, wow, so sad. It was more, I think it was more so a memorial for the people that had died within World War II. And then they show like the aftermath of what they did after that. So I'm gonna
Mm.
have to go back now that I think about that. Wow. Perfect, like, thing for
Perfect.
this. Yeah. I was like, wow, that memory was literally like about to leave my brain, and I just brought it back from like 5 years ago. So then, yeah, next current event.
Yeah, it's not really current event, but it is Pride Month. Happy Pride
Whoop,
Month.
whoop.
Check out our posts on Instagram, and we show love for Pride Month.
Yeah.
So, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer is celebrated each year in the month of June to honor the 1969 Stonewall Uprising in Manhattan. The
Mhm.
purpose of this month is to recognize the contributions of the LGBTQ plus folks that have had to the history, culture, and accomplishments of the U.S. as well as internationally.
Mhm.
Stay on the lookout for like more Instagram posts as we post more about Pride Month, and for our next episode as we go more into the depth into the history of why do we have Pride Month today, and why is it celebrated internationally?
Yeah, I'm actually so excited because I'll never forget when Pride Month became a thing in like my life in a way. Not for me specifically because I'm not a part of the community, but just like I'll never forget the day like same-sex marriage became a thing. I literally remember being in this exact room, 12 years old, 2013, here on my phone, and I went on Twitter and I saw like it was passed, and I was like, yeah, and I was seeing everybody party. I was like, I wish I was older so I could be there celebrating with them. I'm so happy for them. And it's just like such a sweet thing because I had literally had friends since I was in second grade. We would be in second grade knowing that they had been gay or wanted to be a girl, wanted to be a guy, so young, and like just had trouble even coming out to other people about it or thinking about when the time would come to fully come out to their parents, even if they thought they knew. And even one of those people I've known since we were in second grade. Don't talk to them that much anymore, but I have them on Instagram. But he was gay in the second grade, and we were like close friends and whatever, but now he's like transgender and he's like his happiest self, and like I genuinely love seeing him pull up on my Instagram and seeing that like his family does accept him, especially because I know for like his culture that's why he was really worried about it, because he's Asian and he comes from the Asian community, which is like really rough on the LGBTQ plus community. So seeing that his family like accepted that, and like he's like daddy's little girls, and I'm just like, that's so cute. But yeah, so I'm excited to discuss that in next week's episode for episode 40. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, and we might have a special segment, so stay tuned.
Yeah, let's see how that goes. And then the next current event has to do with Eric how do you say his last name?
Shavin, I don't.
I've been saying Chavanaugh, but now I'm realizing Chavin. Whatever, we don't really care about him. Derek Chauvin, sentencing update. So Derek Chauvin, who murdered George Floyd over a year ago, is currently in jail waiting for his sentence. Derek is requesting a Minnesota judge to sentence him a lesser sentence or a term of probation. No. Derek's lawyer reported he wants to be considered as a product of a broken system. What? And on the other hand, prosecutors are requesting a 30-year sentencing. And then the thoughts.
You said product of a broken system.
Product of a broken system. You're broken. I cannot.
Like he needs to. I don't. Bueno, June 25th is gonna be a day. That's all I'm
Yeah.
gonna say. It's gonna be a day when that sentencing comes through.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be a day. I
Yeah.
have that's my thoughts.
It's the fact that he's even trying to call in a Minnesota judge. Like, from Minnesota? It's just like, I don't know. I don't see the point in all that. And he's just trying to drag it on longer than he needs to be. Like, just accept what you got, accept your charges, keep it pushing, man.
On top of that, the judge is gonna like make the sentence. Like a few weeks ago, we had a current event that the judge like looked even further of the four more factors that puts him in a bad position, Derek. So
That was the old judge, though. Now he's requesting for a new judge.
no, this is the same judge.
Oh, it is? Oh, that's
Yeah,
why I
yeah,
was like, I was getting upset about that. I was like, why is he's requesting a new judge now because that other judge did that?
No, yeah, it's the same judge that he's requesting to. So
That's fine.
yeah.
Well, we'll find
Well,
out.
in our last current event, a high school valedictorian ditches her speech to discuss against Texas' new abortion law. On June 3rd, high school valedictorian Paxton Smith spoke out against Texas abortion law instead of presenting her original speech at her graduation ceremony. 2 weeks before Paxton spoke at her graduation, Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed new restrictions into law that ban abortion as soon as the fetal heartbeat can be detected, which can be as early as 6 weeks. And it's a short speech. We'll have it on our website in our like citations tab if you want to look at it, or you just go on YouTube. We'll probably put on our Instagram page this weekend too. So this is just a phrase from the speech that she said towards the end. I cannot give up this platform to promote complacency and peace when there's a war on my body and a war on my rights. a war on the rights of your mothers, a war on the rights of your sisters, a war on the rights of your daughters. So I just took that line because I thought that was a very powerful, and I think that this girl, a high school student, 12th grade, is very brave for doing that in front of like, and I looked at the video, like it looks like it's a big school because it was like mad people there. And yeah, that's really powerful, and like she's really taking this important moment in her life and her peers life and using it to speak out about something that she feels like it's really important at this time. So shout out to her.
She got guts.
she got
Especially if she's in Texas. Got
yeah.
those real guts. Because listen, not everybody in Texas is going to want to hear a big speech about that. Because if they did, these laws there in Texas wouldn't be forming right now. Big red state. So, um, damn, that's crazy. I really like that last line too because that's what I try to use on my guide peers that don't want to vote. And I'm like, you need to realize how essential this is. You may not think it matters now until it actually affects you directly. And I even try to say that to my partner now, like not that they're against anything that I believe in, but like I'm like, listen, he's always like, has there been anything yet that affects you directly? I'm like, not me specifically yet, but it will soon. Like, why do I have to wait for that to happen? You know? I'd rather be able to protect myself while I can and help protect as many other people as I can. And before we get to that breaking point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's um like I said in our one of our old videos with like abortion, I personally wouldn't have an abortion on myself, but I do believe that women have the right to have an abortion if they please. A woman has the right to anything that has to do with their body, and I hate the fact that people think that they have the right to, especially men that don't
White
even
man.
white men, whoever other men think that they can say something about our bodies. There are people that try to force, oh, don't do the pill. Oh, do the pill. Oh, what's called wear a woman condom. Don't wear a woman condom. Do the install the birth control inside of you, and so you don't have to take the pill every day. Oh, don't get an abortion. You're killing a baby. Oh, do an abortion and everything. What's called you're not ready for parenthood. At the end of the day, you're gonna do what you want to do with your body, especially because sometimes, like we said, it's gonna be hard to even do an abortion if you do it. But if you do it, that's your choice. That's what you want to do. I hate that people think that they have the right or are entitled to say something about your life that they have no part in.
Yeah.
So that's the truth. Um, and so yeah, like that was really powerful because I try to say that to him. Like, what if your girlfriend needs an abortion? What if you have a daughter and she's like in need of that? Like, you never know. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just one
And
of those
sometimes it can
things.
also be like a health problem going on
Mm-hmm.
that the expecting mother has to abort the baby. Sometimes it can actually be a medical problem.
Yeah, and let's just say all abortions are illegal and the baby's dead inside of her. She has to give birth to the baby when it's time for her to give birth to the baby, even if it's dead. She cannot get the baby aborted. So that's just a sad thing too, because not only are you um we've been over this in our abortion episodes. We did 3 episodes on it, guys. If you haven't listened, listen to it now. But like literally, making abortion illegal does not stop abortion, and it's just going to make it more dangerous and kill more women, and bring more people into this earth, more babies into this earth that sometimes are not ready to be on this earth, and especially if their parents are not ready to have them.
Did you see that video of this woman I think she went to a restaurant and like she had like a baby in her hand and she gave it to a random stranger at the restaurant.
What happened at the restaurant?
So this woman came to a restaurant, she had a baby in her hand. It was like I think it was like it looked like a Chinese spot, like a Chino spot.
Mm-hmm.
And she gave the baby that she had in her arms to a random stranger in the store. And like people were like brought up the thought, like, this just shows that, how perhaps that she couldn't like take care of the baby, financial issues or whatever
Oh, she just gave her baby to a random person and
yeah,
left.
yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking you thinking like just hold it. Oh my
No, like she
god.
left it, yeah. So people were saying like, like who knows the reasons why she did that. And this is important that that women should have the right to do what they want with their body
Yeah.
because things like this happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes me so emotional because like I've just seen it firsthand, like not with me personally, guys, but like just from people around me that have had an abortion, or have been in a position where they have to have a baby, or and like a friend of mine a few weeks ago actually mentioned this thing to me where I never actually thought about this either. But sometimes you know if you want kids, sometimes you know if you don't want kids. Sometimes you're aware if it's the right time to have kids or you think you're not ready to have kids yet, whatever. But they had said that sometimes when mothers do have their children, um sometimes you can tell if a mother um how was it that she said it? She said that sometimes a mother just bears her child, and sometimes a mother is actually the mother for that child. Like saying that you could carry that baby around for 9 months, birth the baby, and yes, that baby is yours, but it does not necessarily make you a mother because sometimes mothers are not ready to be mothers, even if they think that they are. Um, and that's a sad thing too, and that's where I think abortion or it's just one of those options that I think are beneficial for whoever is up for it, you know. And it's just so
Yes.
sad to
Yeah.
even see that.
Hmm.
But yeah, guys, so that basically concludes this week's topic. Only one more week, one
Hmm.
more episode, and then we're done. Unreal. And then me and Ariana's gonna be in DR, and I'm gonna
Well,
be
I hope
in Puerto
so.
Rico. You're gonna make it. If
What's,
you don't, I'm gonna cry.
I'm gonna talk to my mom after this because she just came home. So
Goodness.
we'll
Hopefully, we're getting lit by the end of this. By the end of June, I plan on seeing Benito, in Puerto Rico. You know who Benito is?
yeah.
Yeah, Bad Bunny, guys. He just dropped a new song today. At the end of his song, mind you, Bad Bunny, guys, Spanish singer, rapper. If you don't know him, you better
Speaking a
know him.
different language. I didn't hear the song, but I saw a post. He was speaking a different language.
He started speaking Japanese at the end of the song.
Peruvian.
Yeah. And like at first, like I'm hearing it, I'm like, this sounds like he's speaking Spanish, but I've never heard these Spanish words before. And it's Japanese. You look at the lyrics, they change from Spanish words to Japanese words.
Oh, wow. I'm
And
definitely.
his music video, when the Japanese part comes on, he turns himself into an animation.
Oh, so he probably watches anime.
Yeah. So I was like, yo! I was like, he knows it. Like he's on the anime wave. I'm like, all my cousins that hate on me about anime, I'm like, but you guys love Bad Bunny. That's your husband. That's your baby daddy. He's watching anime now. So what you doing? Hopping on the anime wave. And all I've been seeing today is TikToks of people saying, listening to Benito and everything, and going to Netflix while listening to him, and then going to the anime section to get into anime now because he
They're
was
trying to get them TikTok likes.
literally. And then they were like, they said, muchas gracias, arigato.
What does
Arigato in
arigato?
Japanese means thank you.
Oh, people
Yeah,
just hopping on the wave.
yeah. But I was just like, I cannot. It was like the funniest thing I saw at 8 a.m. today. It was just too funny. But yeah, guys, that completes this week's episode. We'll catch you on Friday. Peace.